A link can remain after the page behind it has disappeared. The blue text is still there, the address still looks complete. The article, the image, the forum post, the document, or the piece of software history it once pointed to may no longer exist at that location. From the surface, the internet looks permanent. It feels like a vast memory system, always awake, always searchable, always copying itself into new places. A phrase can be found in seconds. A photograph can travel across continents. A video can be duplicated, clipped, quoted, embedded, and re-uploaded until it seems almost impossible for digital information to vanish. But beneath that surface, the web is constantly changing. Pages are deleted, servers are retired, domains expire, platforms redesign themselves, databases are migrated, old file paths break, images vanish from hosts that no longer exist, communities close, documentation is rewritten, archives remain incomplete. The internet remembers many things. It also forgets quietly. This forgetting has a technical name in one of its most common forms, link rot. A link rot begins with a simple misunderstanding. A URL looks like the thing itself, but it is not the thing. It is only an address. It points toward content stored somewhere else, on a server, behind a domain name, inside a file system, a database, a content management system, or a platform. For the address to keep working, many parts of the chain must remain intact. The domain must still be paid for. The server must still respond. The file path must still exist. The database must still contain the record. The website must preserve old URLs or redirect them properly. The organization behind it must decide that the material is still worth keeping online. When one part of that chain changes, the link may stop leading to the original page. Sometimes it returns an error. Sometimes it redirects to a home page. Sometimes it points to a different page entirely. Sometimes it is captured by a new owner of the domain, turning an old reference into something unrelated or misleading. The link remains, the meaning disappears. This is not rare. In 2024, Pew Research Center reported that a quarter of web pages that existed at some point between 2013 and 2023 were no longer accessible as of October 2023. For web pages that existed in 2013, the number was even higher. 38% were no longer accessible a decade later. The web had not collapsed, it had decayed. Broken links appear across news websites, government websites, academic material, and Wikipedia references. They appear in old blog posts, software manuals, legal documents, scientific resources, and personal archives. They appear wherever the modern world has treated a web address, as if it were a permanent citation. The disappearance is not always dramatic. A personal blog goes offline because the owner stops paying for hosting. A forum shuts down because moderation became too expensive. A small image host closes, taking millions of embedded pictures with it. A news organization changes its publishing system and breaks older links. A company removes outdated documentation. A government agency reorganizes its website and moves PDFs without preserving old paths. A social media account is deleted, made private, suspended, or locked behind login walls. A domain expires and is bought by someone else. A community that once held years of technical answers becomes inaccessible. Each disappearance may seem small. Together they form a slow erosion of digital memory. The illusion of permanence is understandable. Search engines make the web feel complete because they return results instantly. Screenshots make moments feel preserved. Cloud storage makes files seem safe because they are no longer tied to one device. Social platforms keep resurfacing old posts, giving the impression of a continuous archive. But search engines are not archives. They are indexes of what can be found and ranked at a given moment. A screenshot is not the full context. A repost is not the original source. A platform feed is not a library. A cloud file is still a file on someone's infrastructure, governed by accounts, policies, subscriptions, storage limits, and business decisions. Digital information feels weightless because its containers are hidden. The web is not a shelf. It is a living system of machines, contracts, databases, permissions, cables, formats, and people. It must keep being served. It must keep being paid for. It must keep being migrated, patched, backed up, and maintained. A book can sit in a box for decades and still be read. A web page must survive its environment. It depends on software versions, database schemas, browser support, file storage, DNS records, hosting bills, platform rules, and the attention of whoever controls it. When that attention moves elsewhere, the page becomes vulnerable. The shift from independent websites to large platforms has made this problem more complicated. In the early web, much of digital culture lived on personal pages, forums, mailing lists, and independent sites. They were fragile, but they were also scattered. No single company controlled all of them. Over time, more of online life moved into platforms. Photos, videos, posts, messages, comments, groups, reviews, communities, and histories now live inside systems owned by companies. These platforms can preserve enormous amounts of information, but they can also change the rules of access. A platform can remove an API, a platform can shut down a feature, a platform can delete inactive accounts, a platform can change what is public and what is hidden. A platform can redesign its search, restrict scraping, block archiving, or close entirely. This is not a conspiracy. It is infrastructure with owners. Every platform is a technical system and a business system at the same time. It has storage costs, moderation costs, legal exposure, design priorities, and commercial incentives. The result is that digital culture often lives in places that were not built as public archives. They were built as products. When those products change, memory changes with them. This matters because broken links are not just minor inconveniences. They weaken the connective tissue of knowledge. When a reference in an article stops working, verification becomes harder. When an old news page disappears, public accountability becomes thinner. When a technical forum shuts down, practical knowledge can vanish with it. When old documentation is rewritten, future developers may lose the context needed to understand why systems were built the way they were. When personal websites disappear, small records of ordinary life disappear too. Not everything lost is historically important, but importance is often recognized late. A casual blog post can become a source for a future researcher. A forum answer can explain a software bug no manual ever documented. A page from a small community can preserve language, humor, conflict, craft, and social habits that larger institutions never recorded. Culture does not only live in official archives, it lives in side pages, comment threads, release notes, fan sites, tutorials, scanned PDFs, abandoned forums, and old personal domains. Digital decay removes these things without ceremony. There is no dust, no smoke, no locked door, only a request that returns nothing. The most important attempt to resist this decay is web archiving. The Internet Archive and its Wayback Machine have preserved snapshots of the web for decades. Their work is extraordinary in scale and importance. A page that disappears from the live web may still exist as an archived copy, captured at some earlier point in time. A web crawler visits pages, records what it can see, stores copies, and makes them searchable through time. For researchers, journalists, developers, historians, and ordinary users, this can be the difference between a lost source and a recoverable one. But archives are not magic. They cannot save everything. Some websites block crawlers. Some pages require logins. Some content is generated dynamically and does not archive cleanly. Some videos, images, and scripts are missing from saved copies. Some pages change too quickly. Some material is removed before it can be captured. Some archives face legal pressure, funding challenges, technical limits, and the permanent cost of storing the past. Even preservation has infrastructure. It requires servers, storage, electricity, cooling, engineers, librarians, archivists, metadata, backup systems, and institutions willing to care about material that may not seem valuable yet. Digital memory is physical. The cloud is not memory by magic. It is buildings, disks, chips, networks, cooling systems, power lines, maintenance schedules, and people making decisions about what should remain accessible. This is the quiet contradiction of the internet. It feels infinite, but it depends on finite systems. It feels automatic, but it depends on maintenance. It feels permanent, but much of it is temporary unless someone preserves it. The web does not preserve itself. A domain must be renewed. A server must keep running. A database must remain intact. A redirect must be configured. A platform must stay alive. A file format must remain readable. A link must keep pointing somewhere meaningful. Preservation is not passive. It is labor. It is design. It is funding. It is policy. It is institutional care. It is also a choice about what the future will be able to know. The internet is often described as a record of modern life. That is only partly true. It is a record written on unstable ground. Some of it is copied thousands of times. Some of it is saved by institutions. Some of it is locked inside platforms. Some of it is deleted in silence. The web is not a permanent library. It is a moving city of addresses, servers, platforms, and archives. Some rooms are rebuilt. Some doors are locked. Some buildings are demolished quietly. And sometimes all that remains is a broken link where a piece of the web used to be.